I love the character of Mary of Bethany in the Bible. I love how gutsy she is, how courageous she is, and how often inappropriate she is in her pursuit of Jesus. But I think we as a church have failed Mary a little bit. I think we have missed her gutsiness and turned her into this kind of wide-eyed girl gazing mystically at the face of Jesus. Well, the reality is actually the farthest thing from mystical. See, I feel like I must have heard the story of Mary and Martha about 100 times growing up in church. And you know the drill, right? Mary is the prayer, Martha is the doer, and prayer is the most important thing, but we must also serve once we're done praying. But the problem with this reading of scripture is that it totally misses the wildness of what's actually happening in this story when we look at it in its original context. See, firstly, Mary isn't praying. This story actually originally has nothing to do with prayer. Mary is sitting at the feet of Jesus as a posture of learning. This is the seat of a disciple, the posture adopted when being taught by a rabbi. Mary was asking to study, to be a disciple, just like the men. But the problem was, in Mary's world, women did not learn like men. Their education was inferior to their brothers at best, but more often than not was non-existent. Some rabbis even taught that it was better to burn the Torah than to teach it to a woman. In the home context where this story takes place, there were separate spheres for men and women. The living room where this story takes place is where the guests sat, where the men sat, and the kitchen is where the women served. The kitchen was the women's space, and Mary was very much in the wrong place. Her posture of learning at the feet of Jesus was wildly inappropriate, and everyone in the room was painfully aware of it. And so Martha comes forward and seeks Jesus' help in putting Mary back in her proper place. She must have been really worried about the shame that Mary was bringing on her family by doing this. Would Mary find a husband if she carried on this way? Would Martha? Jesus' response to Martha is one of the reasons I love him. The Lord I love is the one who defends the woman sitting at his feet. The Lord I love is the one who tells her, "Good choice, Mary." It was an inappropriate choice, a ludicrous choice even in her context, but it was a good choice. And to silence any further objections to Mary's actions, Jesus declares firmly, she has chosen the better thing and it will not be taken from her. You can just imagine the hush around the room at the boldness and the authority of Jesus' words. Jesus fights for Mary's place at his feet. So was Jesus a feminist? You decide. Do we still need to fight to sit at the feet of Jesus? Although most of us can learn about him freely today and talk with him freely without constraint, being a disciple postured at the feet of Jesus still requires gutsiness from us. It still requires a fight. Jesus tells Martha that she is worried and distracted by many things. I think a lot of those things that distracted her were the comments and the criticisms of others. She's worried about what people will think. Yet Mary, on the other hand, fought through these distractions. There can be no doubt about the fact that she knew she was in the wrong place. She knew where she should have been, and she knew that her position was attracting a lot of criticism, but she fought past what other people thought of her and is commended by Jesus for doing so. I wonder how many of us are perpetually distracted by what other people think of us, so concerned that people might critique us for being in the wrong place, doing or saying the wrong thing, that we make compromises. We back away into the safety of the kitchen and miss the wild opportunity of hearing from Jesus. So what might be taking you away from your place at the feet of Jesus? Is it simply time? Do you need to fight harder for your time pursuing him? Or is your fear of what other people think of you overcoming your desire for Jesus and watering down your walk with him into something less than what it could be? How was Mary so gutsy? And how did she overcome her fear of what others were saying? She let Jesus' voice become more important than any other voice in the room. The good news for us is that Jesus is rooting for us. He is actively fighting for our place at his feet. And every time we listen to his voice instead of worrying about the voices around us, Jesus is delighted in our victory. Good choice, Hannah. Or whatever your name might be, good choice. Jesus has saved a spot for you at his feet today.